Thus, the Quran is very clear that punishment should be limited and proportionate to the crime committed. In chapter 8, verse 62 of the Quran, Allah has said that if your opponents have ill intent and are planning to harm you, but thereafter decide to desist and move towards reconciliation, you must immediately accept their gesture and work towards a peaceful resolution, no matter what their motivation is. This Quranic teaching is a key principle for maintaining international peace and security. In today's world, there are many examples where countries have chosen to develop very aggressive policies in response to the perceived hostility of others. It seems they act upon the principle that it is better to destroy them before they destroy us. However, Islam teaches that no opportunity for peace should be wasted, and so even if there is only a glimmer of hope, then you must try and grasp it. In chapter 5, verse 9, Allah the Almighty has proclaimed that the enmity of a nation or people should never incite you to act otherwise than with justice and fairness. Islam teaches that in all circumstances, no matter how difficult, you must remain firmly attached to the principle of justice and integrity. Thus, even in a state of war, justice and fairness are of paramount importance. And when a war concludes, the victor must continue to be just and never resort to undue cruelty. However, in today's world, we do not find such high moral standards and levels of integrity. Rather, after a war is finished, countries impose sanctions and restrictions that limit the progress of the defeated parties and prevent their nations from attaining true freedom or independence. Such policies are harming international relations and can only ever increase frustrations and have a negative impact. The truth is that sustainable peace can never be established until there is justice and at every level of society. Another important teaching of Islam, which we find in chapter 8, verse 68 of the Holy Quran, states that Muslims are not permitted to take prisoners outside of a state of war. Hence, extremist and terrorist groups who are taking prisoners for no reason are acting completely against the teachings of Islam. Indeed, according to reports, they are not just taking prisoners, but are also inflicting the most barbaric cruelties upon their victims. What these terrorist groups are doing can only be condemned in the strongest possible terms. On the other hand, the Quran teaches that even where prisoners are justifiably taken, it is better to exhibit favor upon them and to release them wherever possible. A golden principle for the establishment of peace is given in chapter 49, verse 10 of the Holy Quran, where it says that if there is dispute between nations or groups, third parties should seek to mediate and to bring about a peaceful resolution to the conflict. In the event of an agreement, if either party unjustly seeks to subjugate the other and contravenes the negotiated settlement, then the other nations should unite and use force, if necessary, to stop the aggressor. However, once the aggressive party withdraws, they should not be humiliated or unduly restricted. Rather, they should be permitted to move forward as a free nation and a free society. This principle is of great significance in today's world, and in particular for the major powers and international organizations such as the United Nations to act upon. In terms of establishing world peace, an extremely momentous principle ensuring universal religious freedom is enshrined in chapter 22, verse 41 of the Holy Quran, The Quran states that if permission for war was granted, then in addition to mosques, churches, synagogues, temples, and the places of worship of all religions would be in grave danger. Thus, where Allah the Almighty permitted the use of force, it was not just to save Islam, but to save religion itself. In truth, Islam guarantees the freedom, liberty, and protection of the people of all religions. Islam protects the right of every individual to follow his or her own chosen path or belief. I have narrated before you just a few points from the Holy Quran, which are means for fostering unity at all levels of society and in all parts of the world. These are the golden keys to peace that the Holy Quran has handed to the people of the world. These are the teachings which were followed perfectly by the Holy Prophet of Islam and his true companions. And so, in conclusion, I would like to reiterate once again that the world stands in desperate need of peace and security. This is the urgent issue of our time. All nations and all peoples must come together for the greater good and unite in their efforts to stop all forms of cruelty, persecution, and injustice perpetrated in the name of religion or in any other way. This includes the mockery of any religion which can incite frustrations and resentment, and of course also includes the hateful activities of extremist groups who are falsely justifying their evil acts in the name of religion. Furthermore, we must be sincere with all nations and seek to help them so that each and every country can prosper and realize its potential. The jealousies and rivalries that we are seeing are a result of a mad hunger for wealth. In this regard, the Holy Quran has given a golden principle stating that one should not covet the wealth of others with greed. By following this teaching, we can promote world peace. At every level of society, the requirement of justice must be fulfilled so that each person, regardless of creed, caste, or color, is able to stand upon his or her own 2 feet with dignity and honor. Today, we are seeing many first world countries increasing their investment in the poor and developing nations. It is imperative that they act with justice and seek to help those nations and not merely utilize their natural resources and cheap labor forces for their own national gains and profit making. They should seek to reinvest the majority of what they earn in those countries and use the wealth to help the local people develop and to flourish. If the developed countries act in this way, it will not just be of benefit to the poorer nations, but will prove mutually beneficial. It will increase trust and confidence and remove frustration that are building up. It will eradicate the impression that the wealthy nations care only by themselves and desire to unjustly derive benefit from the resources of the weak and poor. Furthermore, it will be a means of improving the local economies and so in turn will elevate the world's economy and financial health. Most certainly, it would be a means of establishing a sense of global community, compassion, and humanity. And above all, it will be the foundation for true peace in the world. If we do not pay heed to this, then the state of today's world peace will lead to the outbreak of a disastrous world war, whose repercussion will be felt for generations to come, and consequently our generations won't forgive us for this. With these words, I would now like to take your leave. May Allah enable for true peace to emerge in the world. Thank you very much.
Your Holiness, thank you very much for addressing us.